I think I've met quite a few of you. My name's Steve. I'm going to be chairing this first session this morning, the theme of which is something that we've discussed quite a lot over the last couple of days, actually, which is collaboration in conservation education. We've got 4 sessions coming up for this first part. I'm going to hand over in just 1 second to Marta, who's going to be our first speaker for today, assuming she is ready. Are you set? Excellent. Okay, round of applause for Marta, please.
Good morning, good morning. Yes. Just a second. Okay, guys, I didn't have time to have this presentation on Tuesday, so I will be very quick. And as you see, education is very important for Wrocław Zoo as well, but we are talking about that many times since Tuesday. But just few slides. Obviously, we're a member of EAZA, WAZA, and IZT. That was mentioned, how important it is to be a member of the IZT. So it was all described, so let's go further. My department is also, and you know my department, so I will not introduce them again. And all the signage, we're responsible for that. So we do all that labels or that educational panels, and we prepare all that information for the campaigns, educational campaigns. Then we do classes, but also medical training run by breeding department is also very important in terms of conservation education. You know what's medical training, so I will not explain it further. We organize special trips for individuals, so they can choose different paths and they can just go have a walk, educational one, with one of our educators. We also do the tours behind the scenes in Africarium, which was stopped because of the COVID, but let's hope that we can come back to it soon. So the 3 tours that I mentioned, so savanna animals, forest animals, and animals living in the water. Then Malex tours, to be honest, we were trying to promote it as well as possible, but I think that it is too small. It should be longer. I mean that the whole family can have a seat. So I'm now in a process of maybe trying to get one of the bank sponsors to buy us a longer Melex, and then Melex is a Polish brand of those kind of electric cars. I don't know if it's something like that in English, so never mind. But it should be longer and maybe much cheaper than we decided, because the people were supposed to buy a ticket, which is it's not cheap, to be honest, but they had to pay extra 150 zlotys per I don't know, 3 people, 2, even 2, and that yes, but how many people could be there? 3, because there 1 educator and 3 people to stay like comfortable enough. So we have to change the idea. So I'm giving you the tip. If you have it in your zoo, then it didn't work that way. Yeah. Behind the scene, I'll just press the button. We stopped doing it just for COVID, but I guess that we can go back to the idea. And we also had self-practice routes. Again, something difficult happened because there were stamps, and because of so many visitors, we had to walk every day to check if it's devastated or not. So I decided now to remove it, but we have an external company and we would like to cooperate closer. So they do it, we support them with our knowledge. But yeah, I don't have enough people in a team to just walk around and see if the stamps are working, right? And we also organized the online classes during the COVID, but some schools were also interested in that later on. So we still have it in our offer. So in case some, I don't know, the schools that don't have the money to come to the zoo, they can still use our classes. And during the pandemic, I was at that time at maternity leave, so mainly Paweł was involved in Zoo at Home and Ask the Expert. It was a really good project. Many people were always watching it, but I know that many zoos was organizing like that. And then some pictures from it's my personal son, that one, the blonde one, but still nice pictures. So that's the whole session, how kids can be really attracted to natural environments. Yeah, he asks me all the time, when we will have a snake at home? Yes. Last but not least, cooperation with universities and the research that I mentioned, right? That is really important, guys. I repeat it again, that it's for our own future to prove how education is important, because then we go to financial director and focusing on the data, right? So please contact with me. As Antonietta mentioned, we would like to be, as educators, would like to be involved in a research committee. So please support us. We are more than welcome to support us. And we have representatives from the business school, Wrocław Business University. I'm sorry, guys. So that's Dr. Marta Drozdowska and Dr. Izabela Gruszka. They are supporting us. Dr. Izabela Gruszka is a part of a really nice project because she's the researcher who's paid by the municipality, and she comes to us and support us in terms of some tourist research, and we are focusing on the tourist strategy for Wrocław. And yeah, we don't have to pay your salary, so the municipality is paying, but yeah, it's a great cooperation because the project lasts for a year, and we can create new ideas, and then we still have that cooperation. If the research is a part of the team, then it goes much smoother. So thank you very much for your support. And other universities, I have it on my list, but more and more are coming, like the medical university that I mentioned, that would like to see how staying in a zoo can influence the health. So we will try to check the cortisol, the hormone of stress, before and after the visit, and the blood pressure, right? Obviously not during a really crowded days. Okay, and I mentioned that I'm doing that PhD research, so how education is influencing the zoo brand. I will post it on our app, and obviously I'm looking for everyone who would like to be involved in the IDIs, so the individual in-depth interviews. So please support me, it's also for you guys. Let's publish together, that was the thing. And obviously we shall stay, we should think really like we can do something, like Judy said. So we have the two quotes that I love. Sir Peter Scott, you probably know. So we shan't save all we would like to, but we shall save a great deal more than if we had never tried, which means that it touches every everything in our lives, right? It's better to do something than just stay and cry. The most effective way to save threatened and disseminated natural world is to cause people to fall in love with it again, with its beauty and reality. And I think that is also a really important quote. That's basically everything from my side. You've got my email address. I do hope that we're gonna keep in touch after the conference. I'm more than happy to host you here. And now few slides from Dodo Foundation, because we have that Dodo Foundation I mentioned. Please remember to go. If you really like coffee, you can go outside and have that 30% off, and that's a to będzie pomarcie. And it's a support for our foundation, and Marta will show you how many nice projects we do together, because the zoo is founding the foundation, so the zoo is an owner, let's say. Marta, please.
Welcome everyone. It's nice to be with you. I would like to say that our Zoo Wrocław established 7 years ago Foundation Dodo, and that's why we are cooperate and we do a lot. We believe we do a lot. We've got over 51 conservation projects around the world, almost in every continent, as you can see. And as my fun way said on the first day about the Pygmy Hawk project, we support this at the zoo. We've got 38 projects. That's a Darrell, that's a Suncop. You will see beautiful film from rescue to natural environment, penguins by our friends from Africarium. And the organization that we are supporting together are a lot of, as you can see here. What else we are doing? Zoo Wrocław, every visitors of Zoo Wrocław can buy a ticket with additional 1 zloty, which exactly is transferred in place where needs are for conservation projects. As Marta said, we've got Cafe Dodo. 10% of income of this cafe goes exactly for conservation projects. As well, we are sale eco-friendly gadgets. If you would like, I've got some. And we are organizing an education events like Zoo and Dodo to rescue animals. 1 week ago, we've got a meeting in Birdhouse about the thornbill palawan, and we've got there a meeting and then a small conference about the behavior and the habitats of this endemic species. And what else? The amount of money that we are collecting are bigger every year, that we are very happy with that. And we've got a conservation project. We collected old mobile phones or tablets that we are educated about deforestation in the central of Africa. And then we are selling it because we are selling to recycling the old phones, and tell people that it's important to minimize the deforestation and taking the mineral elements to the nature. Everything goes to Okapi Conservation Trust in Africa. And not the last thing, but we are doing a charity run. Every year, now will be the 7th edition, 8th of October, you are invited. Please feel invited. You don't have to come to Wrocław. You can take a part of this very fun and very charity thing by virtual. So please welcome. Please come to us, and yeah, you can. It's not easy because it's 10 kilometers, but we are not a runner, but we are.
You can walk as well.
Yeah, you can walk, and it's the idea of that is the most important, that we are educated by this. And in Poland, we can take a tax from Polish workers, and we collect it, and also 100% of this money goes to conservation projects. We as Foundation Dodo work as for pro bono, so it's really nice and everything really goes, and we've got a big impact for conservation. That's all, because the film.
Yes, and the film. Sorry, I'm the host, so I have to take more time. Sorry, we just didn't have time on Tuesday, so we are stealing some more minutes. It's only 2.5 minutes, so. Oh, no. Okay, we prepare it after, yeah, a bit later. Okay. Okay, so next. Sorry, we are flexible, as you know.
Thank you very much. Okay, everything was going so well in terms of they were going to finish bang on time, and then along comes Marta with a video. Okay, anyway, I'd like to introduce Saka and Veronica from Ostrava Zoo, talking about, well, the first of our collaborative case studies. Bear with me just for 2 seconds. The title of this is Double Decker or Second Hand, No Limits in Conservation Education. So if you're, welcome you to the stage.
So, hi everybody. We are very glad to be there, and I will be really brief because we have not so much time. And on Tuesday, Tomislav was talking about importance of partnership, different organizations, and today we would like to introduce some easy examples of cooperation with non-zoological organization. I'm Veronica, educator, and together with Sharka, the head of our department, we will bring you some, I hope, inspiration from Ostrava Zoo.
Good morning, everybody. So we would like to show some cooperation example, which are going or the examples which are going to talk about have been going on for a long time, and the effects are time tested, so-called. And for our presentation today, we choose non-zoological organization, but they are connected with nature conservation, friendly way of life, and sustainability. And we would like to introduce an extraordinary educational program, cooperation with puppet theater, public transport, and charity shop.
Okay, so I will start with that program because, you know, normal biological education programs for kindergartens, primary and secondary school are quite usual for us, but we have one extraordinary program for students of technical high schools. The shortcut OCAP is a special program from, or is managed by Moravian Silesian region, so we are one of the partners and one of more institutions involved in this special program. And the main aim of this program is to support and promote technical fields of study in the region. And probably you will ask, okay, how is possible to implement some conservation education there? But the zoo is not only about animals. We have there a lot of technologies like filtrations, electric fences, air conditions, heating, lighting, and so on. So there are many possibilities. And finally, electricians, plumbers, engineers, economists, logistics, and much more attended these courses. You can see that today it lasts for 6th year, and during that time, more than 3,600 students attended these courses. And this group of students they would probably normally not visit any our educational program. So it's different group we are focusing on. And this program has 3 parts. It takes nearly half of day. And during the interaction, we are talking about zoo's mission, about our projects, in situ, ex situ, stud books, how does it work in the zoo, and everything about that. Also, we introduce zoo like an employer. So we are talking about the numbers of workers and people there, about the professions. Maybe some of them could participate with us in their future job experience. And then we are going to the area of the zoo. They have worksheets with individual tasks. They are trying to find answers on these questions, and then we are discussing about the zoo, the role, what we are doing, and so on. Of course, some evaluation should be there. And I think that the most interesting part is the tour behind the scenes. But it's the tour of exhibit with technologies. So, because they are technicians. So, we are going, for example, to Tanganyika House, where we have a hippo's pool, and we are showing them the filtration system with all the pumps, tubes, ventils, and so on. Sometimes we are going to Elephant House to show them all the equipment we are doing normally or using normally for keeping and breeding animals, or some filtration systems of aquaria. Yeah, they are really surprised because we initiate them to think about the issue different way than is usual. And for them it's quite surprising, for example, that they can protect elephants in Africa by using their mobile phones longer, because now, you know, new models of mobile, they are changing it every year, or they are really surprised that only half of staff in the zoo are zookeepers and zoologists. They didn't know it and never thought about it. Or they can work in the zoo as electricians, or how much does it cost operating each day of the zoo. So yeah, we focus on new group of students that they normally not come.
There is a nice cooperation with the Science and Technological Center in Ostrava, where students within the courses and workshops produced some safe pit bird houses after our verified construction plan, and the bird boxes are then installed in our zoo. Only for explanation, the zoo is situated in a unique area as a part of Great Ostrava Forest, where live a lot of native species. And not only birds, but small mammals as well, and a lot of insect species. Oh, sorry, it's my turn again. So, and now a little bit culture. Last year, a puppet theater in Ostrava wanted to promote a new performance for children, No Fish, No Crab. And within the cooperation, we prepared or create a questing about aquatic species in our zoo. And the questing led visitors through the different aquatic exhibits in our zoo to find out answers for the questing. And when the contest finished, after approximately 2 weeks, about 10 visitors or people or families were chosen, and they received a ticket for the performance. So, and it was very interesting that there's no matter which group for the questing we choose, even these small gray animals like fish. And the people were really interested in, and even people who knew that they will not go to the theater participate in this questing. So we noticed that they were fun for it, and we hope that we can promote even these species, not so favorite as giraffes and lions and so on.
Okay. Another very important partnership is with our Ostrava public transport. Yeah, it's quite important because Ostrava Zoo is at the edge of the city of Ostrava, and except of cars, that's only trolley buses and buses are the main connection to the zoo. And we have one specialty because since 2021, a special double-decker bus trip line started to operate, and I can say that there are only double-decker buses in Czech Republic, and I think that in whole Central Europe probably, if you don't have it in your city. So it's a very attractive way how to bring visitors to the zoo. And so they enjoy the trip by this special bus. And also we are trying to promote conservation, education and nature, because both buses are named after two different species, and also two different projects. One of them is one in situ project. That's the blue-eyed black lemur. And the second one, birded vultures. We are repatriating them to Alps. So visitors are educated during the traveling to the zoo. And also another way is that these buses can be rented by schools for their trips. So another easy way how to educate them.
So Movement is a charity shop which collects clothes and sell them again, and so keeps clothes in cycle and make fashion more sustainable. The proceeds from selling these clothes support 6 non-profit projects in Ostrava and the region, and our zoo cooperate with the charity shop since, or has been cooperating since 2018. And people who come to the zoo can bring your clothes and put it in this special container, which is situated near entrance to the zoo.
Yeah, our Polish colleagues, maybe, so that we have translation into Polish, because we have about 40% of visitors from Poland. So,
so when you next time go to Ostrava Zoo, you can bring your clothes to support. In this case, elephants, because clothes collected in our zoo, since 2018, it's more than 7.5 tons of clothes, support the conservation project Save Elephants, which focus on poaching and illegal trade prosecution. And in this case, we can show people the significant connection with the donated clothes to to a special. I'm lost. Sorry. And that one bag, for example, so an example with the connection, one bag of nice clothes means 1 day feeding for a special dog team in Congo, which is trained, specially trained for in searching for ivory poachers.
yeah, and this special container is permanently in the zoo, but sometimes we need to promote it more and deep the cooperation with these institutions. So we have some special events, like, for example, Elephant Day. And during that event, the Moment Charity Shop has places where it's selling these elephant clothes, earning money for the project Save Elephant. You can see that the last year, for example, they sold these clothes for more than 460 euros. It's going directly to the project. And for example, we are planning in the future some fashion show to promote it more and support these sales. And also, there is Electrovin organization, which is returning and taking back retired electrical appliances. That's in front of the zoo, and every visitor who came to us with some these appliances take a free ticket to the zoo, and this organization is recycling these appliances because it contains rare metals, you know, which are mined in Africa in localities with elephants, gorillas, and other species. So by recycling, we reduce the demand of mining these rare metals, and we are teaching and educating people to recycle and think in conservation education that way. And because probably we have no more time, and we are in time, I hope. If you have any other questions about mentioned events and activities or some others, you can contact us on the great app Huva or write an email. And thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. I'm sure as Shaka and Veronica have just said, if there are any questions, we can hold them to the end of the session or catch up with them over the break. We'll just bear with as technology catches up. But while we're doing this, I will introduce Katja Delea, who is going to be talking to us about a topic actually which I think was kind of secretly leaked in a talk earlier in the week. 10 success stories about reversing the red, which we heard about earlier from EAZA. Katja, are you set?
Okay, hi again. I'm Katja from Italy, from Parco Natura Viva, and I'm one of the founding members of a working group of Italian zoo and aquarium educators of EAZA called EduZoo. In this slide, you can see all the members of EAZA located on the map of Italy. EAZA is the Italian Union of Zoo and Aquaria. We are about 30 educators, coordinating by Eleonora Angelini from Giardino Zoologico di Pistoia in Tuscany. Before pandemic, we used to meet 3 times a week. A year. And during the pandemic, we met only online, and now we start again to meet twice a year, and one in person and one in online. During our meetings, we share experience in a sort of peer learning. We organize training courses on different educational methods and 2 skills building capacities. We plan joint events, and we developed also national campaign altogether. During the pandemic, as I said, we met only online, and we decided to work again together, and we choose to develop a joint project for as a sort of contribution, our contribution to the Reverse the Red movement. So at the end of 2021, we have this decision, and in the spring of the last year, we decided to produce this booklet, 10 success stories. So we choose 10 happy ending story about 10 successfully story conservation project in which Italian zoo and aquariums are directly involved. This booklet is for children of primary school, so the story has to be short and contained in a page or in A5 format, and the main character to be an animal that talks in the first person, telling its story. We decide to have some drawings about the animals, and we put in the page in front of the text, not picture. We choose drawings, to use drawings, and choose an illustrator. We inserted a human silhouette and the silhouette of the animals to be sure that children can understand the size of the animal. And we add also the sign of IUCN Barometer of Life And of course, we had to explain, so we have a pages with explanation of all signs. Here you can see one example. This is the story of our bison, European bison, Ulisse, that was released in Romania. But all classes of vertebrates were covered. And we decided also to inserted also a contribution of a famous Italian naturalist and a former president of WWF Italy, that is Francesco Petretti, and our president of EAZA, Gloria Svampa. On the final page of the booklet, there is a QR code that leads to a landing page for in-depth info about the project. And it's on the EAZA website. Here you can see one example of the page. Is quite similar, the same of the Reverse the Red web page. So we use the same format: status of the animals, threats, actions, and results of the conservation project. During all the last year, some facilities decided to print and sold the booklet to raise funds for a conservation project. Others decide to use the booklet in many different educational purposes. At the end of the last year, in 2022, we decide to spread our project as widely as possible. So we planned for a promotional campaign in which the main goal was to have a bigger distribution of our digital version of the booklet as a sort of present, Christmas present for our public. And we use many different tools to make this distribution. We send into our mailing list through our web newsletters. We made a digital advent calendar. Here's some example. We post many. We have many posts in our social media. We put all the information on all our website. We decide to translate the video of the Reverse the Red by inserting Italian subtitles. We wrote many articles that were published in many magazines and newsletters. We had a lot of events, and we use also Twitter and Reverse the Red, retweet our the info about our project, and use our project, mentioned our project as a good example to how to get involved in the Reverse the Red movement. I would like to thank a lot Tanya Kalun to mention our project also in our presentation yesterday. So thanks a lot. And you can see that also was very kind with our project and mentioned our project on his social. And this year, our press agent decided to write a joint press release. Unfortunately, it was not possible to have for the 7th of February because we had no time, but we had this common press release at the beginning, at the end of February, to highlighting several events that we decided to have in March, starting with the 3rd March, the World Wildlife Day. In this picture you can see one example, because we would like to have a new version also of the booklet for youngest of our public, and we would like to have Kamishibai version of all story that is very useful for young visitors. Here in this slide you can see some example of our distribution and the success of the promotion campaign. It was 1 month of the activity, so we are very happy about this. As I said before, we collect some facilities printed the booklet to raise money. About we choose a SANCOP organization, and we choose in particular one project, chick bolstering project, that want to save and help baby penguins. We choose penguins because it's a species that can be present in zoos and also in aquariums. So we come from the two kind of facilities. And here on this slide, you can see all the logo of my colleagues and all the logo of zoos and aquariums that collaborate with this project. And I would like to give you my thanks for your attention. Here are some of our colleagues. Some are in the room, so thanks you also to Dolores and to Elena to support me in this hard work, and all of us. And you can see also our totemic animal, tardigrade. We choose tardigrade because it's very resilient, as only a zoo and aquarium educators can be. And if you want to use the QR code, you can download the English version, or if you prefer, you can email me. With great pleasure, I will send you the English version. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Katja. Just a brief notice. Unfortunately, I need to leave earlier. So I would like to take this chance to say hello to everyone. I had a really great time with you here during this conference, and I hope that you are enjoying this conference. So hopefully we will see each other soon, somewhere in Europe, on some other conference, or at least in 2 years. Okay, bye everyone.
Okay, I think probably, Katja, you deserve another round of applause for a textbook example of how to deliver a speech under time, which has allowed us to get back on track. Thank you very much. I'm just going to hand over in a short moment to Hannah from Chester Zoo, who's going to give us a presentation on building networks for nature. Hopefully we are going to end up with enough time at the end for questions for all of our speakers today. Certainly so far it's been really inspiring to hear what everyone else is getting up to, and I'm sure, Hannah, you will not disappoint with yet more examples.
Thank you, Steve. So yeah, I am Hannah. I am Community Engagement Manager from Chester Zoo, and the project that I'm going to talk about today focuses on our work with communities outside of our zoo, so in our area around Chester Zoo, mostly in Chester City. And it is a project that has been brought about through collaboration, could only be possible because of collaboration, and it focuses on UK wildlife. So just to give a little bit of background of our work with UK wildlife, we focus our international support into different regions across the world, and one of those is UK and Europe, and it's really important for us, the work that we're doing with particularly our UK wildlife. So we've done various different projects supporting that, both in the local area but also across the UK as well. So for example, we're always trying to use our zoo expertise to the best of our abilities. So for example, little critter up in the top corner is a pine marten. We did a translocation project from Scotland to Wales, where there was an area which was locally extinct, so we were able to reintroduce that species into that area. We've also used our breeding experience to develop a population of large heath butterflies, again released back out into the wild. And we also do a lot of work with different plant species as well. At Chester Zoo, we've also got our own nature reserve, so it's within the land that's where people can visit publicly. It's completely open, it's completely free within the times that the zoo gates are open. We opened the first hectare in 2013 and then a further 5 hectares in 2018, and it's an area which is really focused on, obviously, UK wildlife and showing a good example of how we can create spaces within our natural landscapes to support UK wildlife. And engaging communities in that work is really important to us. We gave this a really big focus in 2016 by launching a campaign called Wildlife Connections, which is all about creating safe spaces for UK wildlife through community engagement. So we delivered a lot of face-to-face engagements across the local area, getting people involved, getting people to learn how to take action for UK wildlife, and getting people to connect to nature in their local area. We also developed a whole range of resources that are online and a lot of different engagement tools that have gone on to form the project that I'll speak to you about today. Sean also mentioned earlier in the week our conservation master plan, and this work particularly focuses on helping us to deliver against 2 of these targets, which is improving landscapes for wildlife and empowering people to live more sustainably and for the benefit of wildlife. So the project, which we have been doing since 2021, is called the Nature Recovery Corridor. So this project is delivered in collaboration with the partners that you can see their logos there. The top 4 of those partners are significant landowners in the area. So the top one is our local authority. So that's a really important partner for us. And the other 4 are other environmental charities that have land in the area. As engaging with local communities, and particularly communities that are from more deprived areas or have got other disadvantages, was really important to us. We also partnered with Cheshire West Communities Together. They're a community development organisation and really helped us to reach those audiences that we were trying to aim for. So the vision of the Nature Recovery Corridor is to create a thriving, wildlife-rich landscape that will benefit both people and wildlife for generations to come, created through collaboration and partnership. And how have we been able to do this, and what quite is it that we're doing? So you can see the map on the far side. We've created a really big target of trying to create a 10-mile nature recovery corridor. And we're not trying to work in narrow pathways across that area, but really across the whole landscape. We're working with the partners, with community groups, with schools, with individuals, with community leaders to make lots of little improvements all across the landscapes for wildlife, and to build up a picture and to join up those dots, to join up those pathways across the area. We've been able to do it so far by being fortunate to receive a government DEFRA grant, which was a COVID reaction called the Green Recovery Challenge Fund. So that's funded all of the work that we've done so far, and also the project team that has been able to deliver the work that we've done. So we've got 4 key objectives of the Nature Recovery Corridor. So we want to drive nature recovery in a mixed-use landscape, creating diverse habitats for species to thrive now and for years to come. We want to make nature more accessible to and inclusive for everyone, to enable connection and improve well-being. We want to empower more people to have an active role in conservation action and stewardship to create and grow biodiverse habitats. And that stewardship has been particularly important to create legacy for the project. We've really focused on capacity building so that when we step away from a particular group, the green space that has been improved will be continued to be maintained, and the activities about connection to nature that have been delivered will be continued to be maintained. We also want to optimise collaborative working across regional stakeholders to establish strong partnership and support the legacy of the Nature Recovery Corridor into the future. So we aim that by building connections between organisations, between individuals, between community groups, between schools, that they go on to deliver peer support and help each other to keep the momentum going. But we're not planning on stepping away from anything just yet. So what have we actually managed to achieve since we launched in summer 2021? So these are the land partners which I mentioned. So we've delivered a whole range of different habitat improvements, habitat developments, or creation of new habitats, totaling 57 hectares across the landscape, across a whole range of different types of habitat. We've also worked with community groups. So in this project, we haven't worked with lots and lots of different groups, but we've focused and we've supported over a long period of time. So we've worked with 6 community groups over a full year, and those community groups were selected based on them being able to engage with an audience which we felt was important. So for instance, we worked with a multicultural hub, we worked with a mental health charity, and this community centre, which you can see here, is in one of the most deprived areas of Chester, and it focuses on supporting people to engage with their local community to try to combat isolation and loneliness. So there were participants who got engaged with the activities of this community group that didn't leave their house for a very long time over COVID. And it was only through these safe, supported activities in an outdoor environment that enabled them to feel part of their community again and to reconnect. So we ran really regular wildlife and wellbeing activities within each of these community groups. And as I mentioned with the legacy, the real focus was on training and capacity building for the staff and the members of the community groups, so that collaboratively we planned the improvements they wanted to make in their green space, we planned the activities they wanted to deliver with their audience, and they went on to own it, they went on to continue with it. And we've phased our involvement with the groups over the time. So it started with us leading and guiding, it moved on to co-delivery, and at this end of the project where we are now, we're really just saying, okay, you got this, and making sure that they've got all the resources that they need in place. But that fund that we have was vital to be able to provide the resources that we have done to these groups. We also worked in depth with 6 schools. These schools were selected based on them being in the most deprived areas of our community. This is one example of a school where we worked with lots of different classes across the school. The small yard that you can see up in the top corner, that's the space that the behavioural unit class in the school had. And as you can see, it was originally a barren area, blocked in by the walls on each side, the tiniest strip of green, and very uninspiring. And we worked collaboratively with the teachers and very heavily with the students to develop how they wanted their space to look. And I will say the teachers were sometimes cautious about the sort of activities we did with the students, which included allowing them to use tools to build the bird houses, but the response was phenomenal, and the students engaged brilliantly. They had better responses engaging with the students in these sort of activities than they ever normally do in the classroom. They were able to plant things that they'll be able to see grow, put in bird boxes, and they've got this beautiful mural on the wall now that just helps the space be a lot more alive for them. So as with the community groups, each of the schools we've worked with in a way that we can build their capacity so that the schools can keep it going after the end of the project. We also have a program called Wildlife Champions. This is where we work with community leaders. So this is anyone who's got a green space and a community group that they can engage. So they might be part of a Friends of group at a park or a youth club. We deliver a training course for them where they learn how to improve their space and engage their community group. And then they go on to join a Wildlife Champions network where we can support them with the actions that they take moving forwards. We can visit their site and give recommendations for actually how that space should be improved to be the best for wildlife. We've also done a lot of wider public engagement. So while the majority of our work has been very in-depth, we also want the wider community to be aware of what we're doing and to feel part of this big landscape scale project that we're doing. So once a year we hold a Wildlife Connections Festival at our site, so that takes place on the nature reserve and in the adjoining car park. That's completely free to make it as accessible as possible. And this year, for the first time, our community groups were able to come and run stands. So the picture you can see down here in the bottom is students from the high school that we worked with coming and sharing with audiences about what they've learned and getting other people to make seed bombs to look after the environment. So that was really empowering for them to be able to share their message. We've also run hundreds of community conservation action days, so just one day to drop in and plant trees, create a wildflower meadow, and also wildlife recording as well. A big focus for us is network and partnership, so that's both the network that we've created across the organisations that we're collaborating with, but also between the schools, community groups and wildlife champions. So you can see here a few examples of networking events, both seeing each other's work but also visiting each other's sites. And here you can see a couple of wildlife champions that have gone on to visit one of the project schools and deliver activities. So we've facilitated connections between groups that are close to each other so they can go on and give that support. And so what has the impact and the key learnings been? So to evaluate the project, we've conducted over 20 qualitative interviews. We've also had almost 100 participants completing surveys, and all of the findings from the project and the evaluation are being written up at the moment, so a full report will be available at the end of May for anyone who's interested. But a few key findings from the survey is that 81% of participants reported improved well-being, 75% reported increased connection to nature, and 85% gained new knowledge. We also asked the participants if they'd gone on to take any action for UK wildlife after their involvement with us. And while we know that reported behaviour isn't actual behaviour, when people tell you the details of what they've gone on to do, then it's much more credible. So you can see there in the infographic some of the things that people listed that they went on to do after being involved. Here's just a few of the nice before and after photos from the community. So these were just wasted spaces in Chester. They weren't being used for anything. And now they're spaces which are much better for wildlife, but also much more pleasing for people. So it really is just these little pocket of spaces, as well as the larger scale partner stuff that we've been able to achieve. And so quickly, in my last minute, what's next? So we are coming to the end of the Green Recovery Challenge Fund, which we had. But we've been working really hard on building this partnership. There's now more members, organisations working with us, and developing fundraising bids. So we can actually now move forwards because we've been able to secure another round of funding. The map's got bigger, so we've actually extended out towards the east there to include more land where habitat can be improved. And we're working to try to keep collaborating and keep making the improvements where we can. And we're growing from not just making sure that it's not just the partners that are involved, but also the organisations across the community and the community members as well, all really feeling part of this bigger landscape that we're trying to create. Thank you for listening. Just finished on time. Any questions, please do. Any questions, please do contact me on that email, on the app, or catch me while we're here at the conference.
Okay, Hannah, thank you very much indeed. I think I'm going to pass back over to Marta in a minute to watch the video that we didn't have earlier. But I think just before I do that, I think everyone that's done a talk so far this morning deserves another round of applause. Fantastic job. I think it's always really nice when you're sat watching a talk to think, oh, I wish I'd done that. And I think in the space of this first hour, I've already seen half a dozen things that I wish I'd already done. So proof, if proof be needed, of the great work that you guys are doing around the EAZA region to get conservation messages out there to communities.
Dzień wyjazdu. Długo na niego czekałem. Od kiedy pracuję w zoo, chciałem odwiedzić to miejsce. Przelecieć pół świata, by choć trochę z nimi pobyć. Zresztą one też już się niecierpliwią. Góry schodzące do piaszczystych plaż, Zawsze niebieskie, słoneczne niebo, pyszne jedzenie i niesamowita dzika przyroda. Tutaj czas płynie inaczej. Właściwie to czas już się skończył. Pod naszą opieką przebywa właśnie ponad 100 piskląt pingwinów przylądkowych. Rodzice często nie są w stanie ich wykarmić. Szukając pożywienia, zbyt daleko wypływają w morze. Z każdym dniem oczekiwania na ich powrót, szanse maluchów na przeżycie maleją. Wtedy wkraczamy my, wolontariusze z całego świata. Ze wszystkich sił pomagamy im wygrać tę nierówną walkę o przetrwanie. Tutaj nie martwimy się o to, żeby zjeść drugie śniadanie, mieć przerwę czy wyjść o czasie. Dajemy z siebie wszystko, by tym maluchom niczego nie zabrakło. Sprawdzamy stan ich zdrowia, karmimy, inhalujemy, rehabilitujemy, sprzątamy i tak w kółko. Niestety codziennie trafiają do nas nowe ptaki. Praca jest ciężka, a możliwości fundacji ograniczone. Ale nie poddajemy się, bo warto. Dlaczego? By doczekać tego dnia i zobaczyć, jak z powrotem trafiają do oceanu, do natury, tam, gdzie ich miejsce. Wrocławskie Zoo czynnie wspiera ochronę zagrożonych gatunków w miejscu ich występowania. Włącza się w projekty nie tylko finansowo, ale również wysyłając swoich specjalistów do pracy w terenie. Dodatkowa para rąk jest często najcenniejszym wsparciem. Przyłącz się do nas i pomóż uratować od zagłady jak najwięcej niesamowitych gatunków. Fundacja Sankop zajmuje się ochroną ptaków morskich u wybrzeży Afryki Południowej. Najwięcej uwagi, sił i środków przeznacza na ratowanie pingwinów przylądkowych. Do tej pory fundacja ocaliła ponad 90 000 morskich ptaków różnych gatunków.
Round of
Okay, hello everybody, my name is Barbara Tesarova. I'm from Liberec Zoo in Czech Republic, and it's my great pleasure to chair this session, which will be focused on creating conservation education spaces. We have 4 presentations in this session, and the first one will be delivered by Klaas Jan. I'm pretty sure he's already well known. He is the Conservation Education Committee member, and he's also a head of Conservation and Education Department at Libema Company, which operates 4 zoological gardens in Netherlands. And today he will be talking about innovative approaches to exhibit design. So Klaas, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yep. So, as Barbara said, I work for Libema Company, and we have 4 zoos. And I'm going to talk about innovative approaches to exhibit design. And maybe it's not innovative at all, but that's your opinion afterwards, okay? So we have a design team for education, and we have 2 educators for the 4 zoos, so there's not quite a lot. But we can make it. We have 1 biologist doing a lot of research for us on animal welfare, but also on what we are going to tell about the species. And we have 1 zoo designer. And the zoo designer designs with us, together with the animal department and also with education department, the whole area or exhibit of whatever. So we're always involved in exhibit design. And we have some interns sometimes, of course. So let's talk about Zoo Park Overloon is one of our 4 zoos. And in this zoo we have divided the zoo in certain areas like Boulders Beach, South Africa, the Outback, Jengali, Ngorongoro. We will develop something like that. Tropical Africa. and Itampolo, Madagascar, and Madidi. And also we decided to have the threats of the animals divided, like every area in the zoo, every expedition, how we call it, has a certain threat. So we don't tell the same story again and again and again. So we decided to for example, do overfishing at Baldur's Beach, South Africa. And all the threats are linked with our the project we support in situ projects we support, and we support them with the Wildlife Foundation. And well, for Madidi, South America, that's what I'm going to talk about. We choose World Land Trust. I think it's well known with you guys. And the threats are agriculture expansion, deforestation, rainforest, and habitat fragmentation as a result. Well, we have an education plan for this area. These are the animals. So have a quick look. The species, of course, not the animals. And then our approach is, what is the problem? And how can we solve it together? And also this has a link to EAZA, of course. Together we do it in the zoos, like the ex situ conservation, but we also ask the visitors to support us. So we do it together, and why it is important to solve the problem. And each exhibit should have an introduction, a core message, and a conclusion afterwards. So this is in the South America house. So we have some education points. This is the map of the area, where you can see the picture on the left is cut out of the picture of the right, because this is the inside building and the rest is outdoor. So we have an introduction of the area. So what is the problem? We have some information about filter feeders, Chilean flamingo. That's just nice, wondering. And we have some in situ conservation education. So that means, how do we solve the problem? Ex situ conservation, the same. How do we solve the problem? We have ecosystem rainforest. That is why it's important to solve the problem. We have something about plantations, and it says, what is the problem again? So, and we have a take-home message, of course, at the end. So let's start with the first one, introduction to the area. So where do we are on the world? We are in South America. And you can see on the left the map of South America and the journey you're going to make in our exhibit. So you pass wetlands, you pass the mountains, the forest, etc. So, and also we mentioned the problem of South America here, and that's of course deforestation of the Amazon and Pantanal. So this is just some nice thing we want to show. This is our information about flamingos. So the you can move the how do you say, the frame, yeah, to the left, to the right, and there's a number in the hole, and on the sign on the right you can see what the flamingo is doing, what we want to tell about this flamingo, and we want to express the system of the filter feeder, yeah? Just for fun, just something nice. Then we go to the in situ conservation. So how are we going to solve the problem? You see the logos at the right bottom of our Wildlife Foundation of World Land Trust. So it makes clear that you can help by yourself by supporting our Wildlife Foundation. And we have the lion tamarin has to go from the left to the right, and every time you have some like things you can open, and the green one is of course the good one, and it says, the green one says, here are new trees planted by World Land Trust, so we make a corridor. So this is a good way to move. And the right one, the red one, is, oh man, this is busy. There's a lot of wood gutted for a cacao plantation. So then we have the ex situ conservation as well. You can see our biologist has it wrong. And this is how does a EEP works in a zoo. So you see the EEP logo as well. So this is a Saki, white-faced Saki, Nova, she's a female. And the coordinator of the EEP has to look for a suitable male for her. So you can, there's some descriptions about the animals, and you can choose, well, maybe this is a good one, if it's not a good one. And of course, there's only one green one, because the second on the left, I will go back, is not a white-faced saki at all. It's how do you say, a bearded markie, black, yeah, from Apenhill Primate Park. So, but there's some, the good one is Diego, and Diego is a perfect partner for Nova. He's quite young, doesn't have a female, and he doesn't live that far away. So it's good to move him to zoo park. And the other ones are too old or is an uncle, so it's related. Then we go to the ecosystem rainforest. Like we have mentioned the problem and how we can solve it. And then you come to this puzzle, and in the puzzle we want to tell something about all the layers in the rainforest, like the upper layer, the ground, etc., etc. There's a description, like this animal likes to sit in the trees, etc. And you can take the puzzle into the space. And then we come to the coffee house of Ruello Huberto. Ruello Huberto sells coffee and tea and cacao in his little shop. You can see this shop here. There's a TV screen. You can see at the left, and there's a map, and there's some newspapers he sells as well. And he really loves nature, so we combine some storytelling in this area as well. And you can see the TV better right here. And in the middle you see the map, and he's a real nature lover, so when he's a day off, that's our story. He goes out to the forest, and he says, oh my god, they're cutting my trees. That's what he wrote down on top of the map. They're cutting my trees, oh my god, this is not good. So all the red spots he marked as, there were trees before, but now they're gone. And then we have the newspaper, like there to sell. Here, of course, it's how do you say, polyester or something. It's just plastic. But there's one newspaper on the bar you can read well, and at the left top you can see that the newspaper wrote something about this guy Ruello Huberto, who went out to the forest and he does the thing with the map I just told you. There's also news about the Rainforest Alliance. That they have bought they have a new cooperation in some area in the Pantanal, and there's some basic information about the rainforest, and there's some the logo of our foundation as well, to have the connection again with our foundation. There's just some fake news. This is real fake news. And then on the TV, because like if you go to coffee shop outside of the Netherlands, then sometimes there's TVs with news like CNN, etc. So we have we ask some students to make a movie for this news broadcast in this coffee shop, and we ask them to make it not that good, because it's South America, so the should be like little bad, and also we want to have some accent, like not native speakers in English. So we made this movie. Maybe, I hope it works. It works. Like, this is what we mean.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Deforestation of the Amazon is happening at an alarming rate. Over 1 million acres of tropical rainforest were cut down last year. More than 3 football fields per minute.
Look what's
These
going by.
trees are being
Wildlife
cut
again.
down to make space for plantations, including palm oil, cacao, coffee and soy. The consequences of deforestation are not only disastrous for nature,
This
but
is hope,
also
you see.
to humans.
2 new bird species
With the
discovered.
destruction of the Amazon, we are losing one of the most biodiverse places on our planet. In fact, half of the world's rainforest is located in South America. And 1 in 10 species known to mankind can be found there. The rainforests are often cleared through fire. In 2019, over 74,000 fires have been recorded in the Amazon. An enormous amount of carbon dioxide is released into the air as a result of the fires in the Amazon. This is a greenhouse gas, so
Some soccer.
clearing of the rainforest contributes to global warming. We must act now if we want to protect this unique habitat. Fortunately, wildlife organizations like the Wildlife Foundation and World Land Trust are committed to fighting this deforestation. This alone is not enough. It starts with us. Skip eating meat for a day and look for certified products in your supermarket. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.
So that was the movie. Yeah, bye bye. Yeah, great. This was the Roello Roberto coffee shop. The manager of the zoo is called Roel Huibert, so of course we made a joke to surprise him with changing his name into some kind of Spanish. Then we go further and we see this truck, because there's a lot of problems, of course, of deforestation in the Amazon, and also the wood will be transported out of the area, so there will be highways, etc. So you have some roadkills. And the trucks, they take the wood, and you can pass this truck, the path will go through this truck, and then you see all the trunks with some education about sustainable wood for furniture, etc., and about roadkills. And the interesting thing, like I told you, that the designer is also involved in the exhibit design. Under the truck we made a shelter for a giant anteater. So it's included in this one. And then at the end we come to the supermercado. This is the supermarket. That's our take-home message. And you see some products. You see the scanner like in the supermarket in the middle. And you see the coffee at the right. And we made some, how do you say? Like labels. Yeah, we made some labels by ourselves, so it's just nothing. There's not the real brand, because you cannot. Yeah, we don't want to say Nutella. Okay, Nutella or something. So we just have some fake brands. So everything is fake. So peanut butter, etc. And you see the tea. You see the Rainforest Alliance brand, for example. So there's a good tea. And we asked the children to do some groceries. You say, okay, buy 2 packs of coffee. And if you do it good, then you have the good coffee. And if you have not sustainable coffee, you will have the red cross. For the peanut butter, for example, you have a red cross. So this is how we do it. We have an area, and we are lucky because this was a whole area we developed. So then we do this thing like, what's the problem? We have the educational touch points in the area on the map. That's how we do it. And it went quite well. Except, not everything went well. Because we use some real products. We have a lot of mice eating all the products. So now we have pieces of wood with the labels around it. So that's be better, because it was a mess. And some guys will remember that picture 2 years ago on the online session. And the next step, of course, in this case is evaluation. So to answer the question already, yeah, we have to do it. We will do it. So the same we did with the black rhinos, and I will do this something faster. So we have a black rhino enclosure. We developed it in COVID time. So also, again, what is the problem? How can we solve it the problem, and why is it important to solve the problem? Then we have this poacher's hut. Like, the problem here is poaching. So we have this hut of the poacher. You come in, and someone is making boxes for, like you see on this picture. He's making the boxes, and someone else is coming in. It's audio, just with surround sound. There's a car around, etc., etc. It's quite a lot of technique, but it works. And at the end, no, we don't do this. At the end, you will see the jeep on the right. It crashes because he was afraid of the helicopters he heard, and there was anti-poaching units from Black Mambas. Maybe you know that project as well. And then the jeep crashes into the tree. And so there's a lot of storytelling again. So you know the problem is poaching. And if you don't, or you're not into this playable, interactive storytelling, you just can read the signs like about the whole problem. Then, how do we solve the problem? We have some columns. Like this is one column with 3 sides you can walk around. And this is about rhinos, so 5 species of rhinos, just some information. We have one panel is about the in situ, and one is about ex situ. And what we do, on the right you see the Exitu, we have the movie of the 5 black rhinos went to Rwanda again from the Verkralevee and maybe Chester, I don't know, one other zoo. And at the bottom you see, and there's a movie about the EEP of the black rhino. So how does an EEP work actually? It's for adults. Oh my God, 1 minute. So what we do, the upper side of the panels are for the adults, and the thing there under is for the children. We want them to cooperate. Like cooperation, they talk about the same subject because the subject is the same, and usually parents just walk farther, and the children want to play, and then okay, they stand to watch the children play and say, oh, this is about this, so they will have a connection to each other. And also in the middle is about tracking of the dogs. Like in Africa, they have the collars for the dogs to track them, and we want to like the antenna is like 20 meters from the phone, and you can hear it, and you can turn it, beep 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 beep. Oh, there's the dogs. Always on the same place, of course. We did evaluate that, and what we see is that, but we only evaluate it if it's used. So we have to evaluate some more. What you see is that when you just pause the column, they will use it. And when there's animals, like African hunting dogs are always there, so they is used much more than the other one because there's no black rhinos at that spot of the column. So picture. This is about the breeding program of the dogs. This is a big panorama sign with all things you can move. Every role of every species is told here. So it's important also to save the insects. So this is what this sign is about. So this is why we have to solve the problem. Yes? Well, we have it for AquaZulu with tigers as well, but time is up. Thank you for listening, and thank you. And if you have any question, please email me or just go to the WOHA app or just ask me tonight. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Klaas-Jan, for a very inspiring presentation. And now I would like to welcome Nina de Croix from Switzerland. She has been working in the Basel Zoo since 2014, and today she will be talking about squirrel, kingfisher, insects, and another native species in the zoo. So, Nina, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Barbara. My name is Nina de Croix. I'm working at Basel Zoo in Switzerland. I'm in the Department of Zoo Education and Conservation. And as someone said on the first day of the conference, the promotion of native biodiversity is also, in my opinion, just as important than the conservation of exotic animals. So that's why I want to show you what Basel Zoo is doing today. Yeah. But first, let's start with Basel Zoo itself. You can see a picture from above. We are surrounded by many houses and streets and even the train on the left side. It's not easy to catch a zoo animal from above. Maybe some of you can see the zebra on the right side or the Somali wild ass on the left side, but the main color is green. So although the zoo animals are the main focus at Basel Zoo, its character is shaped by the garden, which have been carefully designed over decades. Some trees are over 100 years old and are a central element of the park. Here you can see some facts about Basel Zoo. We are the oldest zoo in Switzerland. The foundation took place 1874. We are a typical city zoo. We are a rather small zoo with 11 hectares and are keeping over 8,000 animals of over 500 species. Maybe I need to clarify here that the majority of all animals, as well as the species, are at the vivarium. So we have a lot of invertebrates and also a lot of fish species. But besides the zoo animals, a zoo visitor can also observe many animals between the enclosures. such as the common wall lizard. We have a lot of squirrels. From February until August, we have the storks at Basel Zoo. During winter time, you can observe kingfishers, and if you are lucky, you can even observe an ermine. So in 2008, there was a study. Over 40 experts from different institutions like the University of Basel or the Entomological Society or the Natural History Museum wanted to find out how high this diversity between the enclosure really is. For that, they used an all-taxa biodiversity inventory approach, and the data collection took place for 3 years, and they found over 3,000 species of free-living animals, plants, and fungi. Over 100 of them were included in Switzerland's red lists. So even the experts were really amazed about these results, and that the zoo, a rather small zoo at the city, has this high diversity. And however, not all taxonomic groups could be considered, mainly because of the lack of experts. And it was estimated that the actual richness of free-living species may exceed 5,500. So that would mean that the number of free-living species is actually 8 to 10 times higher than the zoo animals we are keeping at our place. Oh yeah, and the whole study is summarized in this blue book you can see here on the top. I took the book with me all the way from Switzerland until to Poland, so if you're interested, feel free to have a look at it, although it's in German. But I can help you. So what are we doing to actually promote native biodiversity? I think a key factor is, of course, a sustainable garden management. When we are planning new exhibits, we have someone from our department in the project team. And a nice example is the exhibit called Tembea, which we opened in 2017. And Tembea, by the way, means to walk around or to wander, so the whole exhibit was under this theme. You can find several zoo animals like the African elephant or the harvester ant, but we also built 5 nesting opportunities for storks. And here you can see them. They are like in a circle, and we also built a platform where you can observe the storks through a telescope, and you also have the signage regarding the stork, and you really can observe how they lay the eggs and how the juveniles are growing. So what else have we done? We have a green roof. This is important for the insects, of course, and if you have a lot of insects, you also have a lot of birds and bats and so on. So we also built 25 summer roosts for bats and 50 nesting boxes for different bird species like the common swift, the redstart, or the barn owl. Here you can see another picture. The facade is really long of the building of Tembea, so we had a lot of place to have these nesting boxes. On the top you can see the green roof, and on the left side there are some summer roosts for the bats, and on the right side you can see different types of nesting boxes for birds. And we also have more nesting boxes. Since 2020 we added 66 boxes for different bird species. Some of them we hang up with the kids club, which you can see on the picture. We also have a lot of small-scale structures at the zoo, like deadwood piles for beetles, or leaf piles for the hedgehog or amphibians, or also sand piles, which you can see at the bottom. Another thing we are doing is we remove invasive plant species. Normally our garden team is doing that, but last year we had the situation that we have quite a lot of areas with a lot of daisy fleabane. So I wanted to do like a special activity with our voluntary team, but it doesn't work out actually. I think the communication was too spontaneous and it was during the summertime, so I have to think for this year. At the end, we did it by ourselves. We were 3 persons and worked for 3 hours to remove all the plants. I will show you some pictures afterwards. And since 2022, we also have a new biodiversity area, which I will also show you in the next slides. So here you can see the small area. It looks quite small, but it's actually big, with the invasive plant species. At the top, you can see the plant itself. Normally, it has like little white flowers, but you have to remove it before it flowers. So we did that, and afterwards, it looked like this. Here you can see the new biodiversity area with some pictures. We also have a sign. On the sign you have like a little illustration and it shows the different structures, and you also have a QR code, so as a zoo visitor you can scan this code and you get to a website with tips what you can do actually at home to promote native biodiversity at home. How are we monitoring native biodiversity? I'm honest, we are not doing a lot, but we have a yearly monitoring of all nesting boxes. So we have a look at the boxes, and if there is a nest in it, the box is occupied. If there is nothing in it, it's not occupied. And you can see the results from last year at the bottom. And it's nice because from year to year, we have more boxes which were occupied. And normally, we put the whole data into an Excel file, but now we want to change this. We actually have a special tree register where all the trees are in this register, and we would like to also add the boxes into this register. So this is an ongoing project. Another thing we are doing for many years is we have, I need to hurry. We have an internal reporting point where staff members can report their observations of animals between the enclosures. We are a rather small team. We have one animal keeper. His name is Dominic, and he's responsible for the maintenance and implementation of biodiversity areas. He works more or less 7 days per year for that. Then we have one staff member of Education and Conservation Department, that's me. I'm responsible for the strategy and the organizational stuff, although the strategy is still on my agenda. And we have one research assistant, her name is Beatrice, and she's responsible for this internal reporting point for animals and writes a lot of blog articles. So this leads me to the topic how we are talking about native biodiversity. At our zoo it's really nice that native biodiversity is really an integral part of the communication, so we actually talk a lot about it, and we just use all the communication channels we have. And here you can see all of them. Then we have a blog. We have different sections of the blog, and this one is about native biodiversity. Then we also have several events. One is the Zoo Night, which took place during summertime, and we are open from 5 until midnight. And one highlight is always the entomological society. They catch insects from the surroundings and bring also some and show them to the visitors. And now I come to my conclusions. Basel Zoo has a unique basis with the research study from 2008. Although it's an old study, it really shows that also small zoos could have a huge diversity. Individual measures to promote animals between enclosures have been implemented for many years. Because the topic affects many different departments, a clear definition of responsibility is useful. And it's easy to talk about it, just use the communication channels already in place to get the message across. And the most important one, zoos can contribute significantly towards supporting native wildlife. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. Okay. For another presentation, I would like to invite our icebreaker karaoke stars, Egidius and Raimonda from Lithuanian Zoological Gardens, and when they do not perform, they try to break boundaries between zoos and school, and today they will talk about success of outgoing educations. So go ahead.
Thank you. Which one? Breaking boundaries, this one. Oh, thank you. So hello again, guys. Sadly, no karaoke today, but let's hope we will be interesting enough in our slideshow. So, me and my colleague are going to talk about breaking boundaries between zoos and schools. So, let's go.
Okay, hello everyone, and I want to start from very beginning of the zoo, which was in 1938 when the zoo was first opened, and since then we had a lot of happenings, but the most important event for us educators was in 2002 when the first zoo educational space, the zoo school, which you can see in the photo, was opened. But today, the space is empty and you cannot meet visitors here or anywhere else in the zoo. And I want you to tell why. And COVID-19 pandemic, we faced all it. And when the restrictions was eased and quarantine was settled down, we was hit by another innovation, and this was a good news because Lithuanian zoological gardens get what they needed for a long time. In August 2021, the reconstruction of zoological garden was started, and that for us educators mean that we cannot have visitors for another 2 years, and we was not happy about that.
So to give you a more clear picture, we want to present how many tours we had. Today we are 3 educators, so the numbers you will see it's pretty big for us. So the numbers were growing until 2020 when the quarantine hit it. After that, everything was getting a little bit better, and suddenly, at 2022, the numbers reached a high peak. And why did it happen? What we did so interesting?
So we were faced with the dilemma that the zoo, which was functioning perfectly, suddenly had to close its doors. It could no longer carry on its normal activities. So this was not acceptable decision for us. And because of that, we didn't want to disappear from people's life for another 2 years. We had outgoing educations. And we fully understood that we could not fit the all zoo in one box, and we have to present our activities in the most creative ways and spread the idea of natural science education and an unusual environment for us. So we moved to schools, kindergartens, and similar institutions. We transported animals with us, but I want to point out that that was not the priority in our activities. And also we take another unusual methods. As you could think, we dressed up as witches, elves, and Santa Clauses.
So we want you to introduce with those interesting ways we meant to do in our education, and it's association of wildlife with celebrations, the influence of authority, all of 5 senses, and of course, games. So let's talk about them.
And the most currently and most mentioned celebrated holidays in Lithuania, like I think in everyone else, Christmas, Easter, and increasingly popular Halloween. We hear about these celebrations from all the channels, and we didn't want to left behind, and also want to jump in that train and use this idea of holiday marathon and use that marathon to spread the idea of conservation education and natural science, and introduce it to young listeners and to relevant topics of that period. So we want to emphasize that the costumes used during this educations is additional means to more effectively influence to audience and convey important information about nature. And during the Halloween period, we tried to scare each other by changing us as monsters. And so why not introduce children to the animals that them are the most scared. Yes. So why not introduce children to the animals that scare them the most and reveal that mystery, and showing that not all animals are so scary as they think. And during Easter period, we paint eggs and use them. And however, we rarely wonder what those eggs are like and what it's inside the egg. And it's the beginning of all life. And inside the egg can be more interesting than just an omelette.
And talking about the influence of authority, I guess all of you here have some kind of authorities. For some of us, it's superstars, TV show presenters, or etc. But talking about kids, the authorities are more wide. It can be characters from animation, Santa Claus, elves, and etc. So we, as we mentioned, we dressed up as a Santa Claus. That's me, a little bit heavier than now, but I'll work out. So we dressed up as those characters, and we went to the schools, kindergartens, and we presented the conservation idea in these characters. So we dressed only not as elves and Santa Clauses, even as witches. And talking about the authority, we try to be authority not only for kids, we try to be authorities for other zoos in Lithuania. We don't want to be the zoo which brings animal as the main thing in the education. There is a better ways to transfer the idea of conservation. Talking about all the 5 senses, it's pretty hard. Like when you enter the zoo, you can feel everything. You can see the animal, you can eat something, you can touch everything. But when you go to the school, it's pretty hard way to do that. Well, we can take no shower for 2 weeks and the smell will be like in the zoo, right? But there are more simple ways to do that. So talking about the smell we can take. So we were taking jars, a small cotton piece, and we impregnated with all kind of smells. The defensive smell of snake or skunk, some feces to smell for kids, and they liked it. They were smelling feces and they were like, smells like fish. But that's interesting for them to smell such kind of stuff they usually don't get to smell.
And during education about insects and food chain, we offer to brave listeners to eat alive worms, and they are not happy about.
Fake ones, not alive.
No, we offer alive ones, but when we put in their mouth gummies, they are not happy about that. but with this method, we can communicate a message and understanding that our eating habits are changing and eating insects is becoming another alternative for us. And during education, you can use recorded sounds of animals and try to identify which animals are they or what emotion the animal is trying to convey with its sound, and the audience can listen to various sounds and maybe songbird sounds and try to repeat that. And by touching the swollen chia seeds, which look like amphibian eggs, it's more easier to explain the structure. And of course, that seeds can
be germinated and used after education, so kids understand how the fake egg, in this case the chia seed, germinates and grows. It's the comparison of a little frog, so they can grow their own frog as a plant. So it's a really great project.
And sometimes it's really important to let the listener in gentle way to feel directly what the animal feels. And this shows how important it is to ensure the animal's comfort, well-being, and other freedoms.
As you can see, we care about animals, not so much about kids. So, the last one, games. We mentioned 3 methods before, and if we add all of them up and we will put games into it, it's really a great way. And we want to show you some examples what we use and do during our education. So during the Halloween education, we bring a black box, and kids are introduced to this black box. They don't know what's inside, so they are afraid of it. But finally we find one brave kid which sticks the hand inside and pulls out a squeezy toy, a fur, and basically we try to give the idea that we are afraid of something we don't know, and this box is the things we don't know. So we present animals and show that animals are scary for us because most of the time we are afraid of them, and the knowledge we give is the solution for this problem. Talking about the Christmas education, firstly we introduce kids to polar bears, to global warming problem, that the ice is melting and polar bears doesn't have any space to live. And then we give a game. We take a big blue blanket, we cover it on the ground, and kids have to step on the blanket and they become the bears. They have to flip the blanket and don't fall down, because if they fall down, they get drowned. So they understand the idea of melting ice, the shrinking ice, and they know what's happening. And if any kids don't want to play this game, Santa Claus says he's not bringing gifts for them during the Christmas. Everyone joins, believe me. It's a really great way. 2 games before we mentioned was for more grown-up audience, but every game can be made for younger audience. For example, if talking about extinction species, we can take small kids groups and give them pictures of animals, and they have to group themselves as for the group which animals are not endangered and which one of them are endangered. So in that case they understand.
And we had so many different measures, and what was the result? So in 2022 we mentioned we have 533 educations, and 403 of them was with animals, it's rodents and insects, and 130 animals with 130 educations without animals. And
after every educations we send survey to find out what was the result, And only 25% of the audience were interested by the animals, which shows the idea that the animals is not the most important thing during the education, and more than the half of audience liked the way the education was presented and the idea was given to them. Again, some statistics, let's pass it out. And for the finish, the review. Is it worth to do outgoing educations? Yes, and in the same point, no. Yes, because it's really easy to reach audiences which cannot go to the zoo. The distance, the price, or something like that, it's really a great way to introduce schools or kindergartens which are far away. But in our opinion, the best education is in the place where we, educators, feel freely. So we think that all the methods we mentioned, and it's only our imaginary which can stop us. So only imaginary can stop us where we will finish our educations. So let's do our educations inside the zoo, and we will have this great new building after renovation. So it would be a really pity not to use such a great environment for us to be. So thank you. That's all from us. One more thing, sorry. My mom, she didn't believe me that I'm coming here and doing presentation in front of 100 people, and she asked me to do a selfie. So I will take my phone. I need a selfie, please. Michael, yeah. Everyone say, hello, Mom. Good, thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. And for the last presentation, I would love to welcome Stefan Worm from the Zoo Magdeburg in Germany. And Stefan will share his experience with virtual reality and how conservation education can go digital. Okay, Stefan, the stage is yours.
Thank you for your introduction. Hello, everybody. I want to talk about virtual reality in conservation education. Zoo education is so much more than only to teach biological knowledge to our audience. We hope that our work stimulate people to think about their behavior or maybe to change their behavior. And how do we achieve that? In the zoo, people have the possibility to come our animals quite close. So it's a whole sense experience. They see them, they smell them, maybe they are able to touch them or feed them. And this creates a lot of positive emotions and feelings, which makes it much more easier for us to talk about climate change, conservation, and all this important stuff. But on the same time, digitalization develops rapidly. And we have a lot of zoo visitors at the moment which stand in front of the enclosure and we're only looking on their smartphone. They don't realize the animal right in front of them. Or they are busy with themselves, only doing selfies. Or they are messaging all the time. So these people don't recognize the animal in front of them. They are not interested to read our signs or even to participate on our guided tours. So in some way, these people are lost for education. We can't tell them our message. But I think zoos has to be careful not to left behind this fast development of technology. Of course, I don't want a zoo where our animals are replaced completely by robots or animated. We need this live animal experience, so we have to find a way between this experience and the technology. And during the corona pandemic and the lockdown, a lot of zoos started programs to bring the animal to the kids at home or in the classroom via live stream. So I think this is a good example how technical devices can create a new learning atmosphere. And maybe it's also a possibility to catch up this group of people which are only interested on their smartphones or the latest apps that are coming out. In Magdeburg Zoo, we try to get with people with the help of augmented reality. So we want to use this technology to convey conservation education topics like poaching, habitat loss, or human-wildlife conflict. In the first step, we thought about which topic we want to focus on, and we decide for habitat loss. Then we have to think about which ecosystem do we want to represent and which of our animals fit on this ecosystem. And we decide to use the African penguin to show the pollution of the ocean and overfishing, and we use our lemur walkthrough to show the deforestation of the rainforests. Therefore, we cooperate with a local company in Magdeburg called 3D QR. They program all the virtual elements for us, and they have a free app the visitor can download to scan this QR codes right in front of the enclosure to start this or to explore this virtual world. Okay, let's talk about this scenes more in detail. Here you can see our enclosure of the African penguin, and on the handrail in front of the enclosure you have this QR codes, and if the visitors scan the codes, this is the view they get. So you see a lot of plastic in the water, plastic bags, plastic bottles, a leaking oil barrel on the side, and garbage in the bag. You can't see all very well of this element. This should animate our visitor to walk along the whole enclosure, because if you change your perspective, the whole view of the enclosure changes too. So now, for example, you can see here right in front a ghost net with fish inside, or even better, this whole plastic stuff. Unfortunately, when I take the pictures and all the videos you show today, the animals won't play with me. So please imagine now the penguins in the water swimming around the whole plastic stuff, so that our visitor really gets the feeling that they are standing on the Atlantic coast and see the real animals in the wild swimming through the plastic. Okay, but there's much more. If our visitor starts the app, they get a general information about the species living there, and this and all the other information given in the app can also be played as audio files, so they don't have to read all the stuff. So the orange buttons give information about overfishing and plastic waste, and there's always this green box on the right side which give tips and advices how they can reduce the plastic, or what they have to look for if they buy fish, so how they can change their behavior for nature. Okay, this is what it looks like, such a window, and again you can play it as audio file. But we also want our visitors to interact with this scene, so they are able to clean up the ocean by clicking on the oil barrel, or also you save the ocean, you are a hero, and by clicking on the plastic bags and bottles you can remove it from the water, and it also says what you have to do with that you have to recycle it. And so we want our visitors to get a positive feeling at the end when they leave this scene, that they know they can change something with their own behavior. Okay, now let's look to the lemur enclosure, where we focus on deforestation. Again, we have this QR code. It's on a wooden stem. It's over here. In our lemur enclosure, we have two different VR scenes. This is the first one, and this is what the visitors see. First of all, you see it becomes much more darker because of the rainforest tree over here, because there's a lot of shadow. We also wanted to show the abiotic factors which will change if the tree falls down later. And you see a lot of cut trees here on the ground. Again, if you change your perspective, you can change the whole view. And on the right side, there's a big digger with exhausting gases coming out of it. So our visitors really get the feeling of pollution in this situation. Again, we have, like for the penguins, a lot of information about deforestation and palm oil, what we can do to change that. And what is new is this gray button, because this one starts an animation. And there you can see how a saw starts to work on a tree. And later, the digger comes to kick off the tree. Unfortunately, this video is without sound. If you are live to do it, you hear the saw working, you hear the digger, you hear the tree cracking, so that you really have this live experience. And after that, you can let new trees grow to reforestate the rainforest. Okay. Now, the second scene for the lemurs. This is what the visitor see. So we have this great tree with shadow, again information about deforestation. And if you start this animation, oh, it's about slash and burn, sorry, I forgot to say that. You see how the fire starts to spread and the visibility goes down because of the smoke which is developing and the red glue of the fire. So the visitor really has the emotion, he stands right in front of the fire. And now imagine our lemurs run through this scene, so the visitors think, oh my god, this poor animal, he's burning, his habitat is destroying, so he should be highly motivated to change this situation, maybe with a change of its own behavior. And at the end, again, you are able to plant new trees to regrow the ecosystem. And of course, if it was not enough, you can start the scene again to let it burn. Okay. This program starts in the last winter, so it's quite new. This will be the first summer season. And of course, we want to evaluate this program. First of all, the company we are working with can count how many people use the app and the scenes, so we can compare it with our visitor numbers to look how many people did it. And in the second way, of course, we want to know how much knowledge is transferred, or maybe does it change the attitude of the people somehow. Therefore, we want to use questionnaires, one before they're using the scenes and one after that. And we also thought about to do it after a certain time period again, to see how much knowledge is still there after 2 or 3 weeks, for example. But this kind of evaluation is really new for us in Magdeburg Zoo. So there are a lot of open questions. For example, is it important to prevent people to looking things up if we send an online questionnaire? Or does the first questionnaire in the zoo influences the answer of the later ones? So if there are people here in the audience to have some experience, feel free to come to me later and we can talk about that topic more in detail. Okay. Depending on the results of this evaluation, we have a lot of more ideas how we can use it. For example, to show all historical buildings. This one, for example, is a zoo building that was destroyed in World War II. So nobody today knows this building anymore. Or to show how enclosure changed over the time. Here you can see our old elephant enclosure, which is now a walk-through aviary for vultures. Or maybe you can explain enclosure designs. That means to explain our visitors which kind or which part of the enclosure is designed for a certain purpose in the view of animal welfare. And so we have a lot of ideas how we can use it more. But now it's the end. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Stefan. All presentations were so inspiring, so I'm pretty sure you have many questions for our speakers, but unfortunately we are running out of time, so you can catch them later or during the upcoming coffee break or through the app. So thank you for listening and enjoy your coffees and snacks. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everybody. I talked briefly to you yesterday about this session. So this is our open space time. I know a lot of you are new, so maybe haven't experienced how we do this at our conferences before. But basically the idea for this is it's totally unstructured time where anyone can propose a topic to discuss. And we try and operate this according to the principles of open space technology. So for those of you who don't know, what that means is whoever comes is the right people. So if you find yourself as the only person who wants to discuss something, take it as a gift that you're being given some time to formulate your own thoughts. And no one is going to disagree with you. You don't have to compromise. Whatever happens is the only thing that could have. Wherever it happens is the right place. So we encourage you to spread out and find somewhere that feels comfortable to you, whether that's staying here, going and hanging out by the hippos, taking a little walk around the zoo and having your discussion as you go. All of those are totally fine. What I do have for our topic proposers, you can take a nice animal, so you can carry around your animal, and if anyone is looking for your group, it makes you easier to find. When it starts is the right time. Hopefully you'll be starting around about this time. And when it's over, it's over. So if your discussions come to a natural conclusion before the end of the session, enjoy your early lunch. However, we do encourage you to come back and enjoy the rest of the conference, however engaging your discussions are. And we also operate according to the law of 2 feet. So what that means is if you start off in one place and you find yourself thinking, actually, this isn't where I want to be, I don't feel like I can contribute to the discussion, or I don't feel like this is actually useful or interesting for me, then feel free to walk around and find a different group or enjoy some relaxed time. So hopefully there's a few suggestions in here. We'll see. I know there's at least 2. And if anyone has an idea that's just come to them right now, we will take extra suggestions. This is when it's not good that I'm left-handed and like to hold the mic with my left hand as well. Here we go. All right. First discussion. Okay, so we have Noreen. Where's Noreen? Yes. So Noreen wants to talk about the ocean. Why is the ocean important? How do we connect to networks near us? Do you want to come down to the front, Noreen? You can choose an animal. I have some fish and other ocean living creatures for you. All the animals are from the Africarium. Okay, then we have education support for field partners. Who's doing what? Sharing ideas, networking across field partners. So that's Hannah from Chester. If you want to, grab an animal. If you want to come on down and choose an animal, Hannah. What is the future of virtual teaching after the pandemic? Chester Zoo are busy today. Sean, where are you? Come and choose an animal. Oh gosh, nice one here. How to use play to make kids and adults understand conservation issues and conservation in general. So that's Leonora from Copenhagen. Come and find an animal for yourself. Okay, Daria. How do we fit evaluation into a one-time 90-minute program? Easy topics with Daria. Oh, that's a terrible idea. I hope there's better ones in there. Up here. Okay, well, this actually is the last idea in the box, unfortunately. What do you want to see from EAZA Academy training? And that's just signed from me, so I guess that's my idea. So just pick an animal. No, what's your question? My idea is, what do you want from EAZA Academy training? So yes, you can come and chat with me about what you'd like. There's certainly lots of ideas coming out of the workshops. So that's the ideas we had already. Is there anybody who wants to spontaneously stand up and start a discussion? Yes, come on down. All right. Oh, perfect. All right. Ideas to really reach our daily visitors. Perfect. And it's Martin, yes? Yes. Choose an animal. Any other spontaneous topics coming up for discussion? Everyone's gone a little bit quiet. Okay, so how many topics do we have? It's not an easy choice, I know. So the most important part is which animal do you want to be represented by? Okay. Or I just picked the first one. All right, okay. So these are your groups. I'm going to pass the microphone to Sean and just ask them to say where you think you're going to start your discussion, like where people can come to find you initially, if you decide to move. That's your choice. Yes, we do. So we have, I think, do we have any of our Wrocław Zoo colleagues in the room, or have they disappeared for a quick break? We should be able to get access to the classroom or the VIP room. Okay, Pavel, we'll be able to get access to the classroom and the VIP room for people to have their discussions. I think so. I think people might want to steal those. So yes, we can. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So I'm Sean Dick with the Dick Dick, and you can find me at the Dick Dicks, because just all of the dicks. So we'll start off there if you want to talk about virtual zoo stuff with all of the dicks.
I'll probably go downstairs and sit in front of one of the tanks, maybe start in front of the hippos, because that's a species that I know, but maybe move around in that area if anyone wants to join.
I've just heard that the VIP room is lovely and I've never been in it, so I'm going to take that one. It's just up the stairs as you're heading down to the toilets, and I'm talking about education support for field programs.
If you want to discuss play, I think we'll just meet here and figure out what place is most suited for us who wants to discuss that. So yeah, I'll just be here, so come play with me. It sounds weird, but that's...
Yeah, so the group that will be talking about fitting evaluation into 90 minutes will be in the classroom.
And let's meet just over the white penguin there, even though I have the firefish here, to talk about or to have ideas about really reach the most important group, I think, and that's our daily visitors.
And if you want to come and talk about what you want to see from training with me, I have my nice grouper, and I will go and hang out by the big tank, so just at the end of the giant polytunnel in the dark. Come and find me there. I'm not that scary, I promise. You're probably sick of looking at my face, so it's nice not to see it for a while. So we will convene into our discussion groups, so feel free to join one as you wish and move around. And let's be realistic about our lunch times, and let's say we'll meet back here at 2:10. We will have a little bit of feedback from our group leaders. So enjoy your discussions, enjoy your lunch. We'll see you here at 2:10, please.